So it's been a little while and I've had time to collect my thoughts on TimeSplitters Rewind after almost 100%ing it. I still haven't quite finished the hard story as of time of recording this, but I've 100%ed the arcade leagues, challenges, got platinums on all of those, and I figured I'd talk a little bit about the experience of actually playing the game now that I've got some more time with the game under my belt, as opposed to that first impressions video, which was a bit off in places. Before that though, I want to very quickly just give an idea of my history with the TimeSplitters series so you know where I'm coming from and you understand that I'm not just saying this from a place of ignorance or blindness or something. I first played TimeSplitters Future Perfect in around 2009 or something like that, but I was a dumb kid, so all I could do was really beat the game on easy and nothing else. In around 2015, we moved house and we didn't have internet for a little while, so I figured, hey, I'll go through my old PS2 games, and I saw TimeSplitters Future Perfect and I was like, hey, I remember having fun with this, so I picked it up and then I 100%ed the game, and that was the first time I've 100%ed Future Perfect. Since then, I have 100% completed Future Perfect I think 4 times? And most of those playthroughs were also 100% platinums as well. TimeSplitters 2 first played also around 2009, but as I was stupid dumb baby, I couldn't get to grips with the controls, as I'm sure a lot of people also couldn't do. So I never really played a whole lot of TimeSplitters 2, but it was a game that was always very interesting to me, just conceptually, and like with the way it's like the art style and the gameplay. So eventually, again, skipping ahead to like 2018, I would come back to it and I would actually 100% the game. And then since then, again, I've 100% completed the game, I think 2 more times? I'm sorry, I think I've done it 3 more times actually. One time I did all platinums, all of them, yes. And then the other time I did almost all platinums, but I think I'm missing like about 10 platinums from my other playthrough. TimeSplitters 1 was a game that I didn't really care much for back in 2009 when I was playing through the games, so I didn't really play much of it, but I have beaten TimeSplitters 1, I believe a total of 3 or 4 times since, over the last few years basically. Most of my playthroughs of the TimeSplitters series have been over like the last sort of 2-3 years, and most of them have been 100% completion playthroughs. I know a lot about this series, okay? I also want to say very quickly, I have nothing but respect for the developers for actually finishing this game and releasing a finished product. Like, obviously it's not finished, it's still in early access, but they've actually released something and it is playable and it's mostly saveable, which is pretty good. That being said, there are some issues that I have, obviously, particularly around the problem of the P key pausing the game and that not being rebindable. So you just, if you have a different keyboard layout that isn't QWERTY, you can't use your controls properly, and I had to rebind reload to the equivalent of the E key in QWERTY instead of the R key, because it just wouldn't, obviously it wouldn't work. Most of the other issues that I had in that first video, I've kind of eased off on them. The issue of my controls resetting every time, I think that was just because the game kept crashing. Apparently the game doesn't save your controls until you properly quit the game. It doesn't save them when you close the menu and click save, which means if the game crashes at any point, it doesn't save any of your settings. So that's why it kept resetting. But I have since closed the game properly and it has saved, so that's not a problem. In terms of the movement, I still think the movement is a little bit jank in places. There are some parts of maps where it is a bit weird, but I think that's more of a map problem from what I can tell, and it isn't necessarily a problem with the movement itself, although there are some places where you can just get stuck or the movement is wonky, as seen in Chinese. But some other maps have like perfectly fine movement, and my initial concerns about the movement feeling off have been completely disproven by just playing the game. It feels totally fine to just play the game. The art style it feels a bit mismatched. I don't really know how to describe this. If you, for example, if you look at the Reaper splitter and put it up against the Berserker splitter, they look like 2 different art styles almost, which I guess makes some sense because TS2 and Future Perfect have very different art styles, but I was assuming that part of the point of Rewind was to kind of consolidate the art styles into like one art style so everything kind of is uniform, but it doesn't seem like that's entirely the case because the TS2 Reaper Splitter looks a lot more basic, a lot kind of flatter than the Future Perfect Berserker Splitter, which has all of those extra details that you would expect from the Future Perfect models. So it's just kind of strange. Also, little addition here while I'm editing the video. What they did to the Soviet rifle's reload animation is a travesty. The Soviet rifle reload animation from Future Perfect was absolute peak, and the fact that it's been replaced with a generic reload animation hurts my soul. Please bring back the Future Perfect style of reload animation. It was so much better. I mentioned it as well, but the grass in Chinese, just something about it, I don't know what it is. It's it doesn't look bad against the rest of the game, but it also looks strange to me, and I'm not entirely sure why the grass looks odd. Also, the pattern just needs to be brighter. Also, I would like to once again throw out my suggestion of please consider adding a door between the garden and side room next to the toilet in the like other side of the map that isn't on the kitchen side, because it's such a nice route that adds so much to the gameplay. The problem is with how they obviously capture the bag and stuff like that is laid out, is designed, they might have to redesign those, like the capture points for those modes, like the bag positions for those modes, because that might alter the gameplay just too much to the point where they play very differently, and the extra doorway kind of fucks that up. But it's I would very much enjoy having that extra door there. Or at the very least, like, you could just make it so the door is closed in those modes. Now, when it comes to the actual game's balance, it is early access, obviously. I do have concerns. First of all, the reload animations. The TimeSplitters 1 story is, it feels strange to play it with reload animations because the maps and enemy layouts and stuff are clearly designed around very fast reloads, which some weapons do not have. The blunderbuss, for example, feels completely unusable in Tomb because it just does not reload fast enough to actually be useful. The pistols in just throughout the game, like the different types of pistols, feel ridiculous. They will kill in a single headshot, and most of the time they can all shoot pretty fast as well. So like, you're not really losing anything by just using the pistol for the entire level, because it will one-shot everyone. There were a lot of levels where I didn't really feel like I had to use a different weapon, just because the pistol was so good. I think, if I remember correctly, the pistols were like that in the original games as well, but obviously in the original games you were using a controller, not a mouse, so this is a case where the mouse controls have substantially increased the ease of aiming to the point where it's very easy to just hit headshots constantly now, which is, it kind of makes me feel like I don't really need to use most other weapons in the game. I still did it anyway because the other weapons are fun to use, but yeah, if I really wanted to, I would just play with the pistol and be pretty happy, I think. Challenges, Arcade League and challenges. I don't know what was going on with these. I assume these are just very unfinished because I think there were only like 3 or 4 of them that I actually struggled with to get platinums on. Most of them I got platinums first try, or it took me like 1 or 2 tries, like 1 or 2 extra tries to get the platinum. Yeah, these were really not hard at all, and I don't know why these were so easy. It kind of reminds me of Future Perfect, where Future Perfect's challenges were very easy to get platinums on, but it feels even easier than that, like way easier than that. I don't know what happened here, because I was kind of under the impression that platinums would be, not TimeSplitters too hard obviously, because those ones are ridiculous, but more kind of closer to that side of the scale than the Future Perfect side of the scale. Instead, we've gone past the Future Perfect end of the scale, and we now have a new end of the scale, which is Rewind, where Future Perfect is now in the middle. Maybe the challenges and arcade leagues could do with being rebalanced a little bit. Maybe I'm just too good, I don't know. I don't know if other people are struggling with these, but I really did not have much difficulty with them. Yeah, overall, I don't really have any major issues with Rewind. It's just that there's a lot of these small problems that kind of add up to making it feel very unpolished or unfinished. And obviously, like I said earlier, it is unfinished. It's early access version 0.7. I think it's listed, I think the main menu, like one of like the scrolling messages, calls it an alpha. If that is true, then entirely valid. Also, it's kind of confusing to me that the game is still so early, given that, you know, it's been in development for like however many years at this point, like 2018, 2019, something like that. So it's been like 7 years, 8 years. I don't really know what's been going on behind the scenes, obviously, but one thing that I have noted is that on their website, in the credits section, there isn't anyone explicitly listed as a programmer. There are some systems designers and other like technical designers, but there's only like 9 people total that are listed as those kinds of designers, and I don't know how much influence on the programming they actually had, because they're just listed as designers. There's nobody like explicitly mentioned as a programmer, which I find fascinating. So we don't actually know how many people have programmed this game, but we do know that there are a shit ton of artists. Like, holy fuck, so much of this game's like credits are just artists. I think it kind of, you can feel it in the way the game plays, that it's a lot of artists and not much else. The game looks pretty good. Like, when the art style isn't like kind of mixed up a little bit or feels kind of like a mixture of different things, it looks really good. Training Ground looks fantastic, for example, although some of the levels I do not like. For example, Mexican Mission looks like cheese, and Spaceport. What the fuck did they do to Spaceport? The original Spaceport did have a bit of a grunginess to it, but it still looked pretty clean-ish. The new Spaceport just looks rusted. It looks like it's been in like disuse for years. I don't know what they've done. Like, the Spaceport textures just feel really off. But other than that, yeah, like, I legitimately did have fun playing the game. Like, it's fun to play. Like, I have all these kind of like issues and concerns, but the game is fun to play, and it's great to see an actually playable new TimeSplitters anything, given how neglected the franchise has been. Even if it's not official, just having an actual TimeSplitters game that I can play that's actually on PC, that's fun, I'm not going to complain. So yeah, I will be following the development, because I have been following the development anyway, but I will be following future updates, and I will be excited to see what comes next, because hopefully they will fix some of these problems, and please, please, please consider the Chinese extra door. The extra door is so fun to play with. Please, just try it out. Look, devs, even if you don't believe me and you're like, that seems like a very odd decision, just please consider it. Just try it out. Try it out and playtest it, and you'll see what I mean. It adds so much to the gameplay. A new route into the building and out of the building on a side of the map which is just normally a dead end. Come on, it's such a good idea. Please do it.